It's just an exhale, right? Just inhale slowly and deeply through the nose. Get Clive to suck in a lot of air into your lungs. Fill them. And then just allow the air to flow while George and Susie connect. Today, it is really time for us to start singing. The problem is, most singers don't realize or want to acknowledge that there is a process involved. People just want to go straight to the feel-good part of singing. People just want to go straight to performing. They want to feel good as a singer while they sing, and they want the people who listen to feel good as well. Of course, this is the right ambition to have, but if you don't understand that there is a process, there is preparation, there is a plan to follow in order to get there, then you might run into some trouble. I'm Johan Bester, and welcome to episode 7 of Voice Matters. Now, if you don't know who Clive and George and Susie are, you really should check out the previous episodes. There is a link below for you to go and catch up. Back to actually starting to sing today. Like I said, most singers don't realize that there is a journey, a process, and a plan to follow in order for you to get to that place where you as a singer really can connect with your audience and really will make them feel what you are trying to communicate. And it doesn't matter whether I'm singing to 2 or 3 people in a close sort of intimate setting, or whether I sing in a stadium to 50,000 people. The principles of how I, as a singer, connect with my audience are exactly the same. But yeah, there definitely is a process. It's about making your best sound, which is why my whole mantra for my singing journey is your voice matters. It's about your voice, your authentic, most natural, best sound that you can make. The challenge is, you and I listen way more to other singers than we do to ourselves, right? And we listen to all these amazing world-class singers all the time. And even without trying, sometimes, we actually try to sound like them, to be like them. I mean, just think of the millions and millions of tweens and teens who come up to America's Got Talent and shows like that, and they say, I'm going to sing a Katy Perry song or a Selena Gomez song or whatever, and you can just see what they're actually trying to do is be like Katy Perry or be like Selena Gomez. There's no longevity there. There's no longevity. You have to find your best voice. Who's going to be you if you are not you? Right? You have a unique thing to say. You have a unique way to say it. You are a combination of a whole lot of unique things. Your personality, your eyes, your physiology. Everything is actually your voice. And that is the thing you need to find. All right, so where do we start? Obviously, we have to understand, firstly, where the sound comes from. In other words, which muscles, organs, which part of my body is involved in making a sound. So the breathing, the vocal folds, my shape, my space, my tongue position. We need to have a basic understanding of those kinds of things, right? The vowels, the consonants, the best way to do each one of those different kinds of sounds, all the different sounds that make up our words. We must have a basic understanding of that. So let's get into it. How does this whole process start when I make a sound? Firstly, Clive, my diaphragm, stretches down and sucks the air into my lungs. And we need a good inhale, right? Why? Because air is energy. Say it with me. Air is energy, right? That's very important, because if I don't have a full intake of air, if my lungs aren't full of air, then there's no way my sound is going to have a lot of energy. So that's the first thing. Right, so now my lungs are full. Now as I start exhaling, George and Susie, my vocal folds, connect here behind my larynx. They come together and they resist the flow of air. So as the air flows out, it makes them vibrate, right? That's what makes the sound. But it makes them vibrate at a specific rate or frequency. Now the rate of the vibration or the frequency determines the pitch. Exactly. So when my vocal folds are longer, they get thinner and they are very tight, then they vibrate very, very fast. So it moves the air at a fast frequency. And that produces a high pitch, right? When my vocal folds are shorter and thicker and more floppy, they vibrate slowly and at a low frequency, and it produces a low pitch. Simple physics. So we've already talked in a previous episode about the best way to do this, to just activate the vocal folds in a very natural way. And that is to do a sigh, right? So all I'm going to do is breathe in and sigh. Go with me. So just typical kind of thing that I would do when I'm tired and I get flopped down in my chair, right? I know I keep saying these things, but I want you to get that connotation from daily life, from a normal situation, translating it into this is just what we do when we make sound. So when I do a sigh, my pitch changes from slightly higher to low, right? So I start I'm going to sing now. I started with just some sighs. Just to connect with that, it's just an exhale. It's just free-flowing air. Next, I do a dud. Remember dud? Dud stands for down, up, down in pitch. So I start going down in pitch, just like the sigh. Then I go higher, so I stretch my vocal folds a little bit. And then I go down again. So down, up, and down. And it sounds like this. So remember, when you do a dud, start in a middle range. Don't start like that. That's not going to be very helpful, because then you're most likely going to have tension in these muscles. We don't want that. So start in a comfortable place, just like an actual sigh. Go as low as you can. Listen to this. Like really low, like a car that goes around a bend, right? And has to gear down. So go as low as you can, because we want to teach the vocal folds also to stay together and keep vibrating, even when they are really, really short and floppy, and they actually don't want to do that anymore. So go as low as you can, and then stretch beyond where you started. So if I start there, I don't want to go just to the same pitch. Does that make sense? You have to listen to your own sound. So I want to stretch beyond where I started. I want to give the vocal folds an actual stretch. And then I want to stretch as high as is comfortable. That's right. Comfort is your friend, remember? Very important. So let's try and do that one more time, you and I together. We're just going to breathe. And what am I doing, by the way, with my hand? I'm simulating what my vocal folds are doing. They start here. When I breathe, they open up. When I start making sound, they connect. So I do this with my fingers. It gives me a visual of what's going on here, right? So then they start a bit longer because higher pitch. Then they come closer to my throat, my hand, because my vocal folds get shorter for a low pitch, right? Then they stretch away from my face again because they go for a higher pitch. So do this with me. I've been doing this for many years and I still do the hands. It helps me, right? So let's do this together. Ready? And then again, I finish as low as I can. That is a dud. So that's what you do after you did a few sighs. And remember, you can do the sigh, the initial one, or the dud on different sounds. Another sound that works really well is oo. So instead of I just go oo. And another one of my favorites, of course, is the NG. Etc. So those three are the main ones, but you can really do any vowel that feels comfortable to you. Now there's another fantastic vocal exercise that many vocal coaches and singers use. Actually, as far as I can tell, that is the one thing that everybody agrees on. I even know some classical singers who uses this exercise because it just works really well. Let me show you. It's called lip bubbles or lip trills, right? And basically what it is horse lips. Like what a horse does, right? So it requires really relaxed cheeks. Your cheeks have to be relaxed. You have to relax your face, like with a dumb face, right? And relaxed lips. You can't do it with tight lips. You can't go, that's not what it is. Relaxed lips. So, you know what really helps is to lift your cheeks. Why? Because the weight in your face sits in your cheeks, right? This is where the most layers of fat is, depending on what a fatty you are. How much of a fatty? But anyway, so I want to take the weight of my cheeks. I want to take it off my lips so that my lips can go further with one breath. So many people say, I don't need to lift my cheeks. I do my bubbles like this. And that's fine. But actually, if I lift, so I use 2 fingers, you must find the place that works for you. Because I take the weight off my lips, I can go much further with one breath. So I really suggest you do that. I sometimes use one hand because I'm normally using the other hand to demonstrate or to lead a group when I do a workshop or group training or whatever. So, lip bubbles is amazing. You should really try it. So now instead of sighing on a ah or a ooh or a I'm going to sigh on lip bubbles. Like this. That's it. It's just like but I have a different shape. My lips are together. My tongue is in a different place. Remember this. Just a reminder. Whatever shape my mouth is in, however lowered or not lowered my jaw is, and wherever my tongue sits in my mouth, the 3 things that determine the sound. What George and Susie does is exactly the same. What my vocal folds do to produce a certain pitch, ha, or hoo, or brrr, or it doesn't matter what sound I make. Whatever pitch I produce, brrr, whatever sound I make, the same action in here for pitch. That's very important, guys, to understand. Because people think singing a certain kind of sound is much harder than a different kind of sound on a certain pitch. It's not true. Of course, there are some other physical factors, right? So singing like a E on a really high note, E is harder than ah. Yeah, the shape does affect. But if we can get this principle that the stretching and relaxing of the vocal folds for higher and lower pitch is always the same, then that's a really, really good starting point. So anyway, after you did a few sighs on lip trills, next step, a dud. Exactly. So now I go like this. Exactly the same as I did with my ha or my ooh or my ng. Okay, so there are 4 different sounds for you to go and try. But first, the sigh, just a drop. Then the dud, down, up, and down. And do it on those different sounds. Once you've done that for a few minutes, oh my gosh, the vocal folds are ready. There's been a lot of increased blood flow to those muscles, and they've been working in a very comfortable and healthy way, and they are ready for singing. Are you still with me? I know it's a lot of information. I talk a lot, and maybe it's a lot of new things that you hear. Some of you might have heard a lot of this previously, but maybe you hear it presented in a different way. The point is, none of us can take so much new information in one hearing. Okay, so I really want to encourage you, as I always do, to watch this again later. Watch it again and pause and try and internalize. What did I just say? And what did I mean? And then try it. Pause the teaching and try the lip bubbles and then go on, right? Give yourself time. You have to spend the time. If you want to improve the use of your voice, not just as a singer, just even as a speaker, or even just as a human being who wants to communicate more effectively, then you have to spend time with it. It's like a relationship. If I want to have a good relationship with one of my kids, or with my wife, or with a colleague that I work with closely, I have to spend time with them. This is how I get to know them and they get to know me, right? I mean, that's really simple to understand. But it's the same with your voice. You must think of it that way. Spend time with your voice as if it is a relationship that you're working on. Also remember, if you sit there and all you do is listen to me or listen to anybody, then what you hear is just information. Information doesn't actually benefit us until we exercise the information, until we start to spend time with it. Internalize the information. Try the different things that the information told us about so that we can develop awareness, right? We can start, in this context, we can start hearing and feeling different things that maybe we were not aware of before. Now, that information became knowledge. Now I know it because I can do it. I can hear it. I can feel it. Okay, so now we want to move from those free kinds of exercises that we've been talking about. You know, where we just slide. There are no rules in terms of a certain pitch or a certain volume or certain timing or whatever. We want to move now from that to more organized sound. Because, like I said in the beginning of this episode, it's time to get to some singing, right? Some actual singing. So the next step is to connect the same thought process, the same awareness of what happens in the muscles and in the body to now organizing the sound.